Hey, I'm Lou Brutus. Always a pleasure to welcome Wolfgang Van Halen of Mammoth WVH, the Wolf. It's good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Well, you had what I think most people would consider a fairly grand 2021. Let's recap the year if we could. Since the last we spoke, maybe we could talk about how the Guns N' Roses dates for you, because that looked like a ton of fun, and then it led into I think a really exciting fall for you.
Yeah, no, it's been an eventful year. My album finally came out. I got to go on tour. Uh, it's uh, it's certainly been pretty crazy. Yeah.
With the Guns N' Roses dates, were there any Spinal Tapian moments for you, like moments where things got a little crazy?
Not too much. I actually I revel in the fact that the Mammoth ship it smooths pretty it sails pretty smoothly. There's not too much craziness going on, and I really like that. No drama, just people having a good time and playing music and just enjoying themselves.
Did you get to rehearse? Did you sound check with them earlier in the day before you would do anything?
Yeah,
Or
we sound checked once before. So there were two nights in Hollywood, Florida, that were the last two shows. So I played both of those nights, played Paradise City with them, and we only sound checked it once before uh, uh, the second to last show. And they had asked me to do it like a week and a half before, and that's all I filled my time with, was just making sure I could play that song perfectly. It really helped to have Frank, who's in my band, who plays in Slash's band in a solo band. So he knew how to
yeah.
play it, and he kind of relayed all the little intricacies to me. And he's like, "Yeah, you can do this on the record. It's this." I was like, "Okay, I'm going to do that because I want it to be just like picture perfect." I'm sure everybody on the bus was getting annoyed with me because it was the only song they ever heard me playing whenever I picked up a guitar. But I think it turned out really well. It was exciting.
When there's something we'll call extraordinary that you get to do like that, does it pass in the blink of an eye, like it's over before it started in your head?
Oh, absolutely. It really it's the anxiety that lasts forever. Like you're waiting all day for it, and then it happens, and you're like, "Oh, okay, it's over." It's just in the grand scale of how you were just anxiously waiting throughout the whole day. It really just took 2 seconds.
Excellent. And when you meet up with somebody who's a generation or generations ahead of you, granted you were born to a musical family, but when you talk shop, what sorts of things do you like to talk about? What do you like to learn or discover?
I don't know. I kind of well, any opportunity we had to talk, at least with anybody in Guns, it was always just friendly conversation, not too
Yeah.
much like mentoring or anything. But at a certain point, I like to almost make my own mistakes for myself. Like I like to kind of find out everything on my own rather than desperately try and seek information on how to improve. I like to kind of step out on my own and kind of make the mistakes myself. And I think that's kind of what I'm doing with this whole Mammoth thing. And I'm really enjoying the process of trying to figure out who I am as my own guy, you know?
I would have to think there was such a sense of relief to finally uh, get the record out and get these songs in front of people, because man, it was a, and it must have been frustrating. It was a really slow burn due to lots of forces.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly gratifying to finally have God, it feels like the album's already been out for forever, and it hasn't even been it's barely been half a year, which is just crazy to think about. But man, just the response from everybody, just to finally have it out there and to see people enjoying it, it's an incredible feeling. I didn't even expect people to enjoy it as much as they have been, and it's been nuts.
When you meet one on one with fans of yours since the record is out, what sort of feedback do you get? What are they taking away from the record that you find maybe interesting or surprising?
Well, my first thing is that I really appreciate when people are able to separate my product from what my family is. I like when people come into it expecting Van Halen and stuff, that's totally the wrong, vibe to be expecting. The thing I've been most surprised about is throughout the whole recording process, the thing that I wasn't sure if I could do was be a singer. But from all of the responses and all the feedback, it turns out that's the thing that people like the most about the project is my voice, which is insane to see. I was talking with my producer Elvis Basquette yesterday, and he was like, "You were so worried about your voice. You kept asking after every take, is like, is that okay? Is this is good, right? Is this all right?" He's like, "Yes." Like, shut up, it's fine. And then to now finally have it out and to see people like it the most, which was the thing I was freaking out about the most. I'm really excited to go back into the second album to record with that confidence now that people appreciate what I'm doing.
What do you have ready for another record yet?
There's a bunch of ideas that didn't make the first album, not because they weren't good enough, but just because we didn't have enough time. I mean, the album's already 14 songs, like long enough as it is. And I've got tons of ideas, just kind of like idea showcases that I'm excited to kind of work on and bounce off of Elvis. But yeah, I really think the next album won't take nearly as long, obviously, because I've found out what this project is and I know how to operate within it. So I'm really excited to kind of improve my lap time, if you will.
And I don't want to cause you undue worry or stress. But when it comes time to start thinking about album cover art for the next record, I don't know how the hell you're going to outdo this one. And you and I have spoken about the original art for the album before, yeah. But that is one of the most striking album covers I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I really love it. So yeah, maybe it might be fun to talk to the artist and maybe commission an original piece or something, or I don't know, because it's just it's such a special album cover to me. I had been admiring it for so long before I got the chance to talk with him and be able to use it for the cover. That yeah, it's gonna have to be pretty special. It's got a lot to live up to.
I don't know. I'm only saying this half jokingly. I could almost imagine a film based on that album cover. I want to find out more about what happened there. And that might sound like a loony idea until you figure that there's been 5 or 6 Sharknado movies. And it's like, well, anything goes at this point, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it'd be more believable than a Sharknado movie.
If you would, let's talk about Epiphany and what you remember about creating the song and perhaps a glean of what's behind it.
Yeah, Epiphany early on, that was pretty much the song that was to everybody involved in the recording process, even like just my dad watching and my mom watching, and that was the song. Like that was the main song. That was like this project is worth it because of this song. Like when that song came about, that was the demo title, because I started humming it in my head while I was cleaning dishes in my kitchen. And normally I'll like, I'll go to my voice memos and just record something on the guitar or hum a little melody or something. But I was so stoked on the idea that I just went upstairs right away and made a little demo on Logic, and it just came out so well that first demo was pretty much laid the groundwork for what the song became.
How do you keep track of all those little odds and ends pieces of sound and audio?
It's hard. I'm still kind of I all of my ideas are in such disarray and unorganized that I'm actually currently going through all my voice memos on my iTunes and just kind of editing them and putting them into folders. And it's like, have I used this idea? Yes. Okay. Now I can put that in like the old folder and then put, what are some other ideas that, so I'm kind of in that process of organizing stuff right now.
A lot of folks thought that when technology like this came along, it would make everyone's jobs easier. However, it's just added different types of complication,
Yeah, it's certainly more convenient in terms of being able to immediately record something quickly, but it's just as messy as having a bunch of tapes lying all around.
Let's talk about the Young Guns co-headline tour, which I've spoken to the Dirty Honey guys about, and First of all, the poster art for it. I don't know who came up with that idea, the flipped card deck thing.
It's
It's
killer.
genius. And I collect concert posters. I have probably 500, 1,000 of them. That's one of the coolest designs I've seen in a long time. Do you know who came up with it?
I actually don't know. I'd have to ask our manager. I just know he showed this and was like, "This is cool, right?" And I was like, "Absolutely! Like, let's like totally." And I think it was really cool because it's like because you can flip it for each show. Like I think every other show, each one of us, we're all playing the same amount of time, but sometimes one of us plays first and plays last. So depending on who's playing last, you have it flipped to
Yeah.
whatever band. So it's just cool to be able to use it that way. And it's really yeah, it's a sick poster. I'm so happy with it.
Do you save stuff like that? Because I know some people like myself are absolute pack rats when it comes to all of the things that we come in contact with in the music world. Are you one of those people?
It depends. But yeah, I am a very sentimental guy when it comes to things like that. Like I got a really special thing from the Guns tour where I got the very last Los Angeles show poster, the Guns poster, and the whole band signed it for me. So I can't wait to frame it and put it up in my house. And so yeah, just yeah, definitely. I love collecting stuff because it's easy to be I don't know. It's easy for me to kind of get stuck in a nostalgic sort of state of mind and just remember how great things were and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely that.
Well, you definitely want to live in the present at all times and
Yeah.
be of the moment, but it still have fun. It's still fun to have touchstones from the things that have gone before, you know.
Absolutely.
And since you brought up the Guns N' Roses thing, again, I just wanted to say, do you ever fanboy out at all? Like if I were you and I walk on stage with Guns N' Roses, the first thing I'm doing is stealing one of everybody's picks or a set list. Did you do any of that?
I did not do that. I in a situation like that, I want to be as polite as possible. So like I never try to overstep my bounds. You know, they wanted me to play with them, so I'm going to stand there and I'm going to play the song with them. And then Duff calls me to go, "Hey, you got to sing on the mic." It's like, okay, I'm going to go up there and that's all I'm going to do. You know, like I don't know. I like to respect the boundaries and not try to, you know, take over more than they've allotted me.
And also, you know, I think anybody else in the same position would probably be nervous about, I don't want to step on somebody's effects pedals. I don't want to knock the microphone. I don't want to do anything stupid, you know?
Yeah, it was a tough, that's why I'm happy I got to have two goes at it, because the first night was incredibly nerve-wracking. The second one was like, okay, I got one under my belt. Now I can kind of enjoy it a bit more.
We go now to a car driving in the rain someplace in upstate New York, where I'm joined by Marc LaBelle of Dirty Honey. It's good to see you. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm hanging in there, staying dry at the moment, but yeah, all is well.
Tell me all about your summer with the Black Crowes, because from what I heard, you guys became thick as thieves, and you know they're certainly a legendary band, you know, and great players.
Yeah, one of my favorites. I mean, Chris and Rich were so great to us, and they have an awesome guitar player with them in their band called Isaiah Mitchell, who is from a band called Earthless, I believe. And man, he just smoked it every night. He was amazing. Chris sang amazing. Rich obviously is an incredible guitar player in himself. But you know, like anybody that's really good and stands the test of time, you can feel their passion for what they're doing, and they're great every single night. So you know, that was inspiring for us to just, you know, raise our bar a little bit every night. And then, you know, to have those guys come in to the green room and say nice things about the band and actually like the music and know your music was really cool. And Chris gave me some good advice after the first show was in Nashville. We had 2 sold out shows back to back. And I was just like kind of miserable because we'd gone from this great headlining tour to now opening, you know, a summer sort of amphitheater vibe where you really have to work the crowd. And I was like, man, this summer is going to be tough if this is what it is every night. And he just came in, like, didn't yell at me, but he's like, man, I opened for Metallica when I was your age, and had bottles and shoes thrown at me as the opener. He's like, did that happen last night? And I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, man, just change your attitude. You know, it's you sing great, you guys look great, you sound great. Just have a good time with your friends, and that's all you can do. And hope that people like it. And the next night it was completely different experience, just from a subtle mindset change. So.
And again, when you get around artists like that, obviously you're a great performer in a fantastic band, but when there are guys who have been doing it for decades longer than you, what do you watch for on stage and off stage to learn from them?
Just routine is always a good thing to see, which was, you know, going from a singer like Miles Kennedy and Slash, who have a very regimented sort of pre-show thing. And those guys are obviously amazing too. Go ahead.
I was going to say militant would be the word I use.
Yeah. I mean, Slash literally has a guitar in his hands. It's very rare to see him without one. And then, you know, Miles is the same way too. He's a great guitar player as well. But, you know, they have their own rhythms pre-show, and Chris and Rich have their own rhythms pre-show, and they're completely different. But, you know, they make it work at an extremely high level. And that's really what I'm looking for is, you know, some tips to find my own lane, you know, on the road, and how to make it sustainable for 30, 40 years. That's what you're trying to find, and hopefully you do, but everybody's different.
Something wonderfully weird happened before we started rolling, and you know, we're kind of talking back and, hey, how you been? Good to see you. And for some strange reason, I started singing a bit of No Sleep Till Brooklyn from Beastie Boys, Ain't Seen the Light Since I Started This Band, MCA, Get on the Mic, My Man. And I said, oh, wait a minute, that's originally a line from an Aerosmith song. And you said, no more, no more. And then you had something very interesting to say about that song.
One of my faves. Yeah. So I was talking to Rich Robinson at dinner one night on tour, and he was just telling me all these like really crazy stories from their extremely early days, and we somehow came across the fact that they used to play the song No More, No More from Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic when they were Mr. Crow's Garden in Atlanta in like the late 80s. And I just very cavalierly said to him one day, I was like, I want to sing that song with you, you know, before the show's over, or before this tour's over. And the very last show, I think we were in Philly, my phone starts blowing up, and you know, they're like calling me to the stage to come sing No More, No More at sound check with the Crows. And I was like, what the hell is going on? It was actually kind of strange because Chris's mic, he's super tall. He's like 6'3" or something. And I'm not. And they had his mic stand up there, and it's way too big for me. So I'm like prancing around with this 6'3" mic stand. That's Chris Robinson's, and Rich is just having the time of his life, you know, laughing around, playing a song from, you know, a song that we both love, but obviously it's two different generations of rock bands, you know, bonding over a somewhat obscure Aerosmith song.
And did you get a copy of it? Did they roll on it at all?
Yeah, I had one of the sound guys or something sent me a video of it, so I have it in my you know, my vault.
Awesome, good. Now, tell me about, now that you actually got out and got some touring back under your belt again, what sort of reactions you get to particular songs. You know, a perfect place to start would be The Wire. Give me some insight into what people have gleaned from that song.
Yeah, I mean, lyrically, you know, it's just a song about somebody that's getting, you know, fed up with their current situation, whether it's a relationship or whatnot. But I think people really respond to the energy of the song more than anything. You know, it's just a really great rock and roll tune. And it was one of those songs, it was actually the first song that we wrote for the record. So we'd been playing it for a while. So our fans certainly had some familiarity with it before the song even got released. And then, you know, we know it's definitely a really strong tune. And so it's obviously pushed back later into our set when we're opening for the Black Crowes. And, you know, it's one of those songs where you can sort of see the audience really start to appreciate the band, considering most of the people at a Black Crow show don't know who we are. And then that's sort of the breaking point where we start to hit them with the songs that they might be familiar with. And, it's sort of that bridge into, we're going to take you from the somewhat obscure part of our set to, you probably heard When I'm Gone or Rolling Sevens or California Dreamin' by now. If you checked out the band coming to the show, and that's the one that really hooks people in. So
excellent. And another last time, give me some insight into that tune, if you would be so kind. I don't think we've ever discussed that one before.
Yeah, no, that was totally a COVID baby. I think I was playing like Wild Horses or something on my acoustic. And so it was tuned to open G, I think. And I just came across this chord progression, and similarly to The Wire, the phrase "another last time," I just scattered it out as I was just, screwing around on the guitar, and fell upon this lyric that I just absolutely fell in love with the moment I said it. And then I sort of had to backtrack and write the rest of the song. But yeah, that one goes over pretty well too. And especially on the record, I think that's the song that most clearly represents what I was hearing in my head to, printing it on a copy of vinyl. It's just a really clear representation of what I wanted to hear in the final stage of the song. So very happy with how that came out. I'm particularly proud of that one lyrically, but it's just one of those bolts of lightning that you stumble on something melodically and lyrically, and you're just like, man, that's too good. I don't even know where that came from.
It's not always that easy, is it?
No, it's usually quite difficult. And I hate slogging through the trenches when it is hard. It's one of those things, you have to slog through the trenches on 5 other ones for one of the really good, easy ones to come out. And you're grateful when they do, but I hate the other 80% of it, honestly.
It's funny because, so many folks, when they're kids, think, I'll join a band, it'll be easy. And, there's just different,
it's not.
There's just different horrible workloads, no matter what you do for a living,
And it's so weird, you never know when it's gonna strike. But I just feel like if you really are diligent about sitting down and picking up the guitar every day, or singing every day, or, getting together with the band at sound check to just try and, so often we'll just say, let's just play a riff, play any riff, just make something up right now. And those are the fun times when something good usually comes out, the very spontaneous, unexpected, unplanned moments of writing. But yeah, slogging. It's funny, I was just listening to a Billy Joel interview, and he said, I love having written, but I hate writing. And I feel the exact same way.
Well, you know what? You can learn from a guy who's been, churning out hit records for half a century,
Yeah, he's pretty good at it, but he hasn't done it in quite a while, and he's been very vocal about not wanting to do it ever again.
Yeah.
But his body of work is obviously timeless and amazing. So I thought that was a pretty good representation about how songwriters feel looking back on their work.
Plus, Billy is a fellow New York
Mets guy. Yes,
yeah.
He last play at Shea.
Great show. Oh yeah, and the guests he had that was where McCartney came out with him. I know McCartney had brought him out as well. That may have been City Field, I think, right?
I think that was that City Field?
Well, Billy was definitely Shea, and I think he brought out McCartney. Then I think McCartney did the first show at City Field and brought out Billy, something like that.
Okay, that would make sense.
Now then, one last thing. I'm assuming that you are very excited because I think it's a great bill with Mammoth WVH. Did that just, hey, let's put these bands together kind of thing? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, I mean, we have the same agent, and we were crossing paths a lot, sort of the second half of the summer doing radio festivals, and, Guns and the Black Crowes were sort of crossing tours. So we got together for one show in South Carolina, and it was obviously great. I think Wolfgang's super talented. He sings amazing. His songs are really good, obviously. And, he's coming from rock royalty. I mean, the kid was in Van Halen for like almost a decade. So it's obviously he's very talented. And then, once we met him finally and did some shows, and he got to see us and we got to see him. It was very obvious that this was a really good bill, and we're both extremely excited about it and genuinely passionate about what one another's doing. So it's going to be a great start to the year. I can't imagine it getting any better.
Marc, amongst all the music memorabilia I've kept through the years, I have a huge collection of posters, and the artwork for this tour with you guys is really cool. It looks like old school concert artwork. Do you have any idea who put that together or how it was done?
My manager actually we had for a tour poster, we did sort of a pinup girl playing card maybe a year and a half ago. And then when we sort of came up with the idea that we were going to do a co-headline with Mammoth, I think the playing card thing, to my manager, I had nothing to do with it. It was a great way to just flip the actual visual to be either Mammoth on top or Dirty Honey on the bottom, you know, and flip it to whoever's headlining whichever night. And then when he came up with the skeleton thing, I just thought it was awesome. And then each skeleton sort of personifies the, you know, some sort of conglomeration of each band. So we all saw it immediately. We were like, that's too cool. That's too cool. So I think we'll be signing a few of those and selling them at the shows or something, you know, and doing whatever. We'll figure something out. It's too good not to.
Yeah, when I get out, I'm running right to merch and grabbing like 3 or 4 of those things from my collection. It's really a great piece of work.
I think we know some. Well, you got a connection now with me, so you need anything at that show, you let me know.
Marc LaBelle of Dirty Honey, always a pleasure.
You too, man.